The concern comes at a time the world marks the Day of Scientific Renaissance, which falls on Tuesday, June 30, 2020. Ghana is joining in the commemoration with its focus on food security and nutrition in the midst of the pandemic. The imposition of restrictions in the month of April affected the production and cutting of some food items, which partly led to an increase in prices. But the gradual easing in the restrictions has led to a steady pickup in the production levels of farmers. The Center for Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR, says it is collaborating with allied institutions to improve food processing to ensure food security amidst the coronavirus pandemic. Dr. Jolene Mateko Nyakon is a health nutritionist with the Food Research Institute of the CSIR.
When we had our first case and then when government gave restrictions on working and production, we realized that a lot of production at the grassroots levels in terms of the farmers being able to go out to their farms to produce came to a halt. So between March and then late May, we didn't have large amounts of production like we are used to. However, because we have a bit of foodstuffs in store, we were able to produce and process some in our stock to be a buffer stock. So it's part of our disaster preparedness and then also to help in making sure that when we have disasters like this or we have problems like this, there's always a buffer stock to take care of the market. So we had a back stock of some cereals and then some legumes. Here we mostly process the legumes into flours and into other flour forms that can be reconstituted into other products. So that's what we mainly do here. We had the maize flour, we have the corn flour, and we have the cassava flours in the form of kokonte, and then some of the banku flour mix.
Another issue of concern which is likely to impact supply of food and subsequent production is Africa's inability to make use of its vast land resources. This has led to the continent having the highest prevalence of undernourishment. Dr. Nyakon offers some suggestions on how this can be reversed, especially for a developing economy like Ghana.
You realize that majority of the farming that we do is subsistence farming. And the problem with that is that it's not on a large scale. So it's just produced for individual consumption or group consumption. And then also some of the farming practices that we do are not climate friendly. So then the land becomes barren or the land becomes unproducible after a period of time. So now we as an institute are looking at climate smart technologies, not just in our processing, but also in our advocacy work. We are advocating in farm groups, in local communities where we find ourselves, about using farming practices that are climate friendly. And this ensures food for the future. Because it doesn't just ensure that the ground is good for now, but also for the future generations to be able to produce, to feed the country.
Building buffers to meet demand for food requires investment into various aspects of the value chain. Aside financial resources, there is the need to train personnel, purchase equipment and other essentials to achieve the objectives. Dr. Nyakon tells Citi Business News that her outfit is capitalizing on the commitment from the government and other partners to improve their food supply and nutrition levels.
The first thing is we have different structure that we are looking at. We are looking at not just encouraging farmers to still produce, we are also looking at educational systems where we are educating Ghanaians and sending out what we call behavior change messages that Ghanaians should consume Ghana-made foods. If we create a demand for the production that is currently being made, then these losses can be averted. In addition to, we have increased our capacity as an institute to help the medium to small scale industries. And then we're also doing a lot of work in terms of training. We are providing training for small and medium skills industries on how to upscale their activities, because this is the time that we need to upscale our activities, because if the crops come and we are not able to store properly or we are not able to process in adequate time, that is when we will have the production going two ways. Some of them will be capital intensive. For instance, if you're encouraging farmers you'd have to provide some incentives, and you have to provide other things that will encourage them to take up some of these practices that you are doing. But some of them are simple, and this has to do with the behavior change communication.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation is confident that the continuous supply of improved seeds, seedlings and technical support for the planting for food and jobs and the planting for export and rural development should culminate in reducing the overall impact of COVID-19 on food production in Ghana.